Hey, Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning. Right now we are at Gear Up. It's our episode 3, and today's topic is HR way forward. What are those trends? What are those opportunities? And what are those challenges that HR, human resource, is facing? In this pandemic and then post COVID as well. My name is Dr. Arif Pyarali. I am Director Training Solution Learning Minds, and I am sure it has been a pleasure moderating this series of Gear Up. Right now, with us, we have a panelist. I think so. They are up till now the most diverse, the most ambitious and the most versatile panelist I have seen. I was just going through their experience, and my God, they have something to back on. So first of all, without wasting any time, I would jump into our and introduce our first panelist. This person, I met him in Dubai, and while we were on a business trip, and this is one person who is humble, who is down to earth, and actually all three panelists have this very rare quality, and they are very modest and very humble in nature. So, but first, this person has been in Sanofi, Coca-Cola, PTA, Syngenta, and currently he is the regional HR director of Abbott. Please welcome Mr. Akil Naqvi. Hey,
Thank you,
sir. Good
Arif.
morning.
Thank you so much. How are you doing? Appreciate you inviting me to the session.
Hello there. You are welcome. Okay, so now the second person who I'm trying to call upon as the panelist. Again, I had interaction with her, and she is very down to earth, very humble, and she knows her work. So very competent of what she is doing, and she knows the way as well. She has been again a track record and par excellence. She has been in TD Securities, partner Wood Howard, Howell, MENA region, ICI, and right now she is head of Center of Expertise, K Electric. Please welcome Ms. Faiza Sabool.
Thank you, Arif. Good to be here.
Thank you, Faiza, for sparing out time for us and for the audience to share your knowledge. Okay, the last but not the least, and he I might tell you he's a very interesting personality, and I again met him in Dubai while I was on our business trip, me and Sohail, and he has all the experience and all the stories. Akil might agree with me. And his experience again, it's par excellence. He was in Getz Pharma, he was in Reckitt Benckiser, he was in Albata HPC Group, he was in Abbott, and right now he is the HR director, Dubai Entertainment. So please welcome Mr. Shahrukh Masood. Sir, how are you?
Hello, Arif. Thank you very much for inviting. Happy to be part of this panel. Very good, and look forward to this discussion.
Thank you for giving us time. So now I have introduced our panelist, and the topic is HR way forward. What are the trends, opportunities, and challenges for the HR post-COVID and right now in this pandemic? People who are joining in, just to tell you, I want to hear your thoughts, your suggestions, your ideas, your opinions, and please ask questions to the panelists, and I'll try my level best that they are kind enough to answer, if not all of them, most of them. So we just jump into the topic, and my first question, I would prefer, or I will suggest that Faiza should take this up first. Faiza, our first question for the day is, what is the biggest trend shift in HR right now? And then you and then you anticipate in the post-COVID world.
Thank you, Arif. So I believe not one, but a few trends have cropped up in the given scenario. And one is very clearly the agile working. So as people are being forced to work from home, many companies that did not think about adapting agile are now beginning to think of it as a new normal. Because of this, employees are also forced to adapt digitally. I don't see these behaviors will disappear
Arif,
once
I'm
the.
not able to hear Faiza.
Are you not? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly fine.
Okay.
Good for me as well.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Can you
Sure,
hear me?
cool. Yeah, Faiza, please.
Okay, so I was saying agile working is clearly one thing that has become a new normal. And employees, because of this new situation, are forced to adapt digitally. This is something that this behavior we don't see disappearing once quarantine is over. And then, of course, innovation in HR will flourish. Talent acquisition through video interviewing, embedded AI technology. Learning is getting radically transformed. This means we are incorporating gamification, virtual reality, augmented reality. Also, with agile working, there's no 9 to 5 anymore. So I feel the stresses in managing work-life integration and also dealing with the COVID situation, assisting workers with their well-being is sort of has never been more important. So I think I'm going to take the example for K Electric, for instance, large organization providing electricity. Who would have thought we could go agile, but we did. E-learning library is enhanced. There are daily webinars, there are courses that are being offered. We have a safe and healthy campaign running where we have a daily online therapist. There are yoga sessions. There are BMI challenges. So the works, yeah. Then, for instance, management trainee drives for us, and I think also for a lot of other organizations, have gone completely digital. So not only a gamified platform, the interviews, panelists, everybody is coming online now. So yes, major shift in HR trends, and it can be seen already.
Yeah, true. I can vouch for KE because one of the ऐसा नहीं है मुझे KE ने पैसे दिए लेकिन KE has been my client and I have seen the amazing transformation that they have provided for the employees, the work they are doing, and my God, it has like the ripple effect is there. It can be seen visually. You can see the change in behavior and the respect they have for the entire culture of KE as a whole. So thank you, Faiza, for your input. Akil, what do you have to say about what is the biggest trend shift you see?
Right. Thanks, Arif, for asking this question. So let me start by saying that being a leader in any type of crisis is not for the faint of heart. And let alone being in a crisis which is as big as the global pandemic, and there are lots of challenges that we have to face in this as leaders. As an HR leader, what you will face time and again is that when you try to act too fast, you might be seen as overreacting, whereas when you act too slow, you might be seen as impacting the business or not being able to cope with this situation or the crisis. So I think it's really about striking the right balance and making sure that the business understands how we are going to approach this crisis as HR leaders. The other thing that I want to talk about, which I think we are hearing in all the podcasts and webinars, is about technology, that technology is taking over the world. Now, my view is still very simple and straightforward. I still think that no matter how technologically advanced we become, no matter what systems we bring in HR or outside HR, I think people will still be the center of focus for any organization. And I've heard this from a lot of my previous mentors and business leaders, and thought of sharing this. They say that business is basically comprising of two things. One is money, and the other is people. Now, we know that a lot of organizations are very good at managing money, but there's still a lot of room for improvement when it comes to managing people. And I see that being a real shift going forward. because any technology that we bring in, any tools or virtual platforms we bring in, I think people will be behind all of that, and they will be making them productive and efficient for any organization. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is personal development. I think employee development or personal development will be a lot of focus going forward. I know for a fact a lot of people have already started reassessing their careers, whether they are in the right jobs, whether they want to switch and move into something different. So that is something that is already started. I was reading an article that talked about a 30% hike in university registrations, which means that people want to educate themselves. They want to learn something different. And maybe that is also coming from the fact that there is more self-awareness while we are working from home and going through this crisis. Maybe we have started reflecting on what we are good at versus what we are not good at. And so all those things are coming into play. And when I talk about personal development, I think as HR, we will see that happening for us as well. Over the years, we have seen HR as the cobbler's children, right? Where we support everyone in the organization, we help them grow, develop, but we don't really do a lot for ourselves. We don't really spend a lot of much time on investing in our own growth. And I think that will be a shift that I see going forward. So that's, in a nutshell, the answer to a very broad question.
Yeah, apologies, but yeah, it was a broad question for the HR liking. Okay, Shahrukh, what's your take on this? आप क्या समझते हैं क्या होगा the biggest trend shift for HR or by HR in the post-COVID?
Arif, of course, I agree to the couple of points which are made by Akhil and Faiza, and they were also definitely part of my list. But I would like to share a couple of things which I would like to add here. I think we will be doing a lot of rebuilding. The trend would be recover for sure immediately as we start getting out of this, and start rebuilding it. And to do that, we have to start, or people have already started reflecting, for example, what worked in this situation, what did not work in this crisis situation. All of us had our amazing business continuity plans, disaster recovery plans. Did these things work, and all these things. So we have to start doing a lot of revisiting things. We have to go back and check upon our purpose. Of course, I would like to re-emphasize that well-being will always be a very important part in this new normal, with the solid communication, because we are more moving towards a hybrid model going forward, and communication channels and the ways of communication will change, and they are changing, and they have to change. Otherwise, as we know how important communication is. Also, rethink about the workplaces, the work itself, workforce engagement. So in a nutshell, if I may say, HR has to kind of reboot and come up with the new ways of working. Of course, because of this digitalization coming up, we have to ensure how the teams work together. I mean, yes, once we are going hybrid, we cannot lose the importance, how people work together. Then we have to see how organization adapt to these changes. So again, going back to the agile learning part, which we said. So I think the trend shift has already started happening while we were learning. So it was we were building the aircraft while flying it, and this will continue for sure. So I think that thing about revisiting overall is the essence in the trend.
I think adding to, sorry, I'm just going to cut you. I think adding to what Shahrukh is just saying, when you're talking about the teams and looking at how they work, I think, Shahrukh, another important aspect would then be also looking at performance appraisals a little bit differently. You know,
100%. Yeah.
so that's something that would be changing as well going forward.
I mean, the overall definition of performance,
Yeah.
if we just, take it a step back, that would change. And we have, and at least I have seen, because I work for theme parks, and we were the first one to close the business completely. And when we closed the business, I have noticed that people have been working, with a great output from home. And it was great to see that performance was not impacted. Usually we come from a background or a school of thought that work from home might not have a similar kind of output. So I think, yes, the complete definition of performance output would change. Of course, we have to give enablers to our team. We have to help them. We have to continuously communicate with them. Those small corridor chats, coffee chats, and all those things which we were keeping, to ensure we are connected, we are communicating, a pat on the back. Those things have to, move to virtual deliberate sessions, if I would say it this way. So those are the things. Of course, we have to see how technology comes in, but we don't disconnect on that human touch. So that will be very important for sure.
True. Two things. So I've learned right now. First of all, is the word we were looking for, and that is hybrid workplace. That means there would be few people who would be working from home, and then few people who would be coming to office. So that was the word that we were looking for, and that's the word hybrid workplace. That's something we are looking forward. Secondly, when Pfizer talked about performance appraisal, I got a mini heart attack, and I'm sure a few of the participants who are professionals, because performance appraisal एक इतनी नाजुक चीज है, दुखती भी लग है कि वैसे ही लोग जो है ना बेचारे ये वर्ड सुनते ही जो है उनको जो है वो they get mini heart attacks in the process. Okay, so rather than say, okay, with this, जहाँ पर हम एक शख्स की बात कर रहे थे, and you think of that person, and that person is there, and he is saying that oh wow, three of my absolute favorite business, because they personify how an HR leader must be. Sohail, that's so kind of you.
Thank you very much, Sohail, for those words.
Yeah, appreciate it.
And I have requested him not to ask questions today, but let's see how he works on that. Okay, so my next question, while people are venting and sharing their thoughts, मेरा दूसरा सवाल, and let the Shahrukh, if you can answer, go for this first.
Sure.
In the recent past, or in the past, if I may say, with some rare exceptions of HR, HR has actually struggled to showcase their outlook as a strategic business partner. Now, day in and day out, me meeting a lot of HR people, I am actually sad. Again, the word is with few exceptions. People actually don't, HR does not know how the business is going by, let alone the strategic part of it. How can, Shahrukh, how can HR play a significant role in this particular pandemic scenario?
Very, very important, Arif, and very close to my heart, this particular point. Not only in the pandemic situation, or not only in the post-COVID era, I think this point is very important that HR, the value and all those things are primarily linked with the commercial understanding or the understanding of the business. Okay. What has happened in all of our organizations, we have worked, almost all three of us have worked in 3 to 5 organizations in the past 20 years. Some HR practices started a few years ago. Some best practices were adapted. Some best practices were brought in, and it is good to have those practices. Not sure if those practices are linked to a commercial need. So first of all, HR, चाहे pandemic situation हो या ना हो, HR has to have that commercial understanding before we start giving any suggestion, before we start playing any role. And then जब we have that level of understanding कि जी business को किस चीज की requirement है, ठीक है, लोगों की requirement है, talent की requirement है, लेकिन what is business looking at, growth क्या है, उनका business model क्या है, what type of people, what geography, what skills. उसके बाद we can come down to aligning the HR strategy with the business. And this is the perfect time because इस वक्त system reboot हुआ है, इस वक्त system restart हो रहा है. तो I would say कि when we go back or when we are now getting back, we have to step back and check कि हमारा business strategy exist करती है या उसमें changes हैं. If we see कि हमारी business strategy में ही changes हैं जो कि definitely होंगी, because with all these changes we cannot have the similar business model and the business strategy. अगर हम उसको validate कर लें as first step, and then this is the perfect time कि हम अपनी HR strategy, हमारी learning strategy, बहुत सारी organization would have a very clear idea कि इस critical crisis time में what worked and what didn't work. I might re-emphasize the point जो मैंने पहले उसमें भी कहा था. And this is the time when we say, okay, we understand the new need. Then based on the new need, we recommend options to the business. And then we select the best options with the business and then facilitate implementation. So coming back, जो HR के experts होने के साथ साथ हमारा ये role है कि we have to have a very clear understanding of our business, चाहे वो pharmaceutical हो, entertainment हो, FMCG हो, services हो. It is very important कि जी what are we delivering, why do we exist, what is our mission. और जब ये clear होगा, then only we can put anything, and when we don't understand these things, that is the reason we are, as a HR professional in general, at times told कि जी नहीं समझ में आता, process driven होता है, bureaucratic होता है, and all those things. अगर हम पहले step पे align हो जाएं with the strategy, with the business understanding, everything will be very logical falling out from the core purpose. So I think I'll always re-emphasize on the point of aligning ourselves with the business and its strategy.
True. Finding and then continuing pursuing the true north, if I may say. Okay, Akhil, by the way, Akhil, I have all three of you, बल्कि why Akhil, हम क्यों इस तरह से करें, अगली बार मैं दुबई आऊँगा तो हो सकता है वो मुझसे ना मिले. So not Akhil, any three of you, though I requested him, but he is there and he is asking some tough question as always. So Sohail is saying, the pandemic evolved beyond our preparedness level. True, psychologists have termed this as collective trauma, as did
Yes.
lives and ways of working. So do you think our organizational bureaucracies will dance with this change, and how we in HR can facilitate it? Who wants to have dibs on this?
I would like to take this, and I have few things. Yes, definitely. And I was thinking of it when we were, looking at what should not happen going forward. What is something which we really need to look in HR. We have to ourselves first of all get out of that denial stage, right? So first and foremost would be the accepting that what worked, what didn't work, and then we have to go and be part of that leadership team and kill the processes which were set, the bureaucracy what Sohail is referring to, and to do this again we have to simplify to get the amplified output, if I can put it in simple words. There were number of things which were good because it was serving the purpose. Now the purpose has changed, so we have to go back and revisit everything, and probably my things are again interconnected. Once you revisit, we'd ask, do we really need this, right? And this is where we have to convince our CEOs, our leaders, that this was okay to have, but when we revisit it, when we simplify it, we don't need it. And when we simplify it, and I mean, I love to say that simplify to amplify output. And this is the exact moment where we need this. And I think it would be very important for us to convince our leadership based on our understanding of business and the need of change.
Yeah, and I just want to add here, Arif, that
please.
anything that we are doing today that is not really adding value from an HR perspective needs to change, right? Whether it is bureaucracy, whether it is red tape, whether it is paper pushing or creating forms and templates in HR that really do not add value to the organization, that need to stop. And maybe we need to do that start, stop, and continue exercise in our organizations, which we used to do in the past, and see what are the new things that we'll need to do as part of the new business norms and the new business models. And similarly, what we need to stop, because that is not just adding value. I think a lot of our policies and processes should be more outward looking rather than inward looking. So we tend to create a lot of processes as HR which really satisfy us as HR, but they're not really satisfying our employees or our business leaders, and that's the shift that we need to make.
Yeah, true. I was reading on this, and right now, as HR, we need to be agile, and there were 4 pillars of agility which was mentioned for an organization. One was the mental, to look at people's emotional and mental well-being, and if they are in depression, they can't work. They cannot be productive. The second one was people agility. Then now the concept of knowledge worker and being master at none and like master of all technically.
Right.
So that's the second part, people agility. The third was change agility, how nimble we are on our foot in terms of our processes and procedures. And the fourth one was जैसे आपको देखा performance appraisal का, so the results agility and how we are gauging or benchmarking our success. So these are the 4 pillars of agility if we really want to create some commendable change in our organization. Okay, Faiza, any of your thoughts on this particular thing?
So, sort of referring both to Akhil and Shahrukh's comments, talking about strategy and the role that HR plays. I mean, one really interesting article comes to my mind right now. It was an HBR article that I'd read some time back, which said that financial crisis, if you remember the financial crisis of 2007, 2008, so they said a good CFO at that time could either save or sell an organization. And what they're saying that today, that is the role of a CHRO. So that's how important the role of HR is in today's crisis. Talking about this is the time when we have to rethink our org design. This is the time we have to identify essential versus non-essential roles. I think work from home also brings in the diversity to be a very achievable agenda, which at times we've struggled with. Policies Akhil talked about, and yes, I think with new family-friendly policies for virtual work life, a lot of sort of an open mind towards a lot of areas needs to be put in play now.
Yeah. Well said. And I must say that the new winner in these policies and procedures would be empathy. While creating them, we have to keep in mind that people are working now from home and they have their own challenges, and how we can be more empathetic to while we are creating all of these procedures for them. Okay, I have a question from the audience, and that I will align with my question. And I would ask Akhil to go first on this, if you may, sir. Noman is asking, saying, "Great conversation." Thank you, Noman. It's really kind of you. How do you see the current roles evolving in the post-COVID scenario? I think so. We have already answered that, Noman. Will there be any major changes? And so, yeah, Akhil, will there be any major changes?
Yeah, so let me start by saying that I personally think there will be a lot of changes in HR. Now, HR is considered to be a catalyst for change in any organization, right? And so, as they say, that charity begins at home. So, if we as HR are not willing to change, how do we expect to go and advocate that change to the business leaders, right, or to the broader organization? So we'll see a lot of those changes, and we'll have to change ourselves as HR, and that'll all depend on how the business changes, and we'll have to continuously be abreast with what is happening in the business situation. You know, like I mentioned, anything and everything that we are doing from an HR perspective, which is not really adding value, that should change, because that is going to be irrelevant, and nobody is going to really require that from HR. So we'll really be working more from a strategic perspective. And I always talk about the strategic business partner, that even before you talk about being a strategic business partner, you have to be a trusted partner to the business, right? And a lot of us are missing that piece. We are not being trusted as HR by our business leaders, and that's why we are not really having a seat at the table when it comes to business discussions. And for me, a very quick recipe of how you can become a trusted and strategic business partner is three things. One is your competence. So we need to be subject matter experts in what we do, and we need to have the right business acumen, which is changing now with the businesses evolving. Number two is the ethics that we have as individuals, right? So, and that includes our openness in how we operate, the integrity that we have in terms of what we do, and the transparency in which we work with our leaders, right? And the third is communication. So you need to be communicating well with the business, with your peers, with the people down the line. People who have worked with me and people who know me must have heard this from me. I always believe in over communication rather than under communication. So the more you communicate, the better. And especially when you get this bottom up approach, when you get data from the people down the line, that will help you feed into the data that you take to your business leaders and make more informed decisions. So this is how I see HR changing in future.
HR. Okay, so while we are at this, I just want to ask, and let's make it a one-pointer series. One-pointer series. We always try new things, but एक time पे we started rapid fire round, and because there were a lot of questions at that moment of time, so we try new things, and so this is one-pointer series. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Sure.
Faiza?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, perfect. Faiza, like you have to communicate this as first, Arif.
Yeah.
Do this. Okay, so this is one pointer series. Let me ask Akhil first. One thing that will die in HR.
I think our bureaucracy, right? So our internal focus, that will die. That will not continue. We'll need to look at what is relevant for our people, what is relevant for our businesses, right? And everything that we do will have to be focused towards business objectives. So that for me will change.
Perfect. Shahrukh, one thing that will die in HR.
I think routines, structures, norms, practices, बहुत सारी चीजें होती हैं कि जी इस तरह से होती चली आई हैं, if I can put it in a crude way, ठीक है? और तो I think ये सारी चीजें, these things have to die. अगर नहीं तो we have to kill them. In short, otherwise we will not be able to start the journey of that change we are talking about.
Yeah.
Perfect. Faiza, one thing.
Yeah, so I think to a great extent, classroom learning is going to die. I believe a lot of companies have realized that they can do it much better, much faster less expensively online, and I think employees are sort of more forthcoming about it as well.
ऐसा ना कहो यार. He's
Sorry.
disrupting
Maybe
our
you guys have
business.
already embarked on the e-learning thing, so
This is a direct hit on Arif.
Yeah. No. Before she said that, we already knew, and we are now doing webinars for our clients. So we have adapted the change. We are more agile than always. So thank you, Faiza, for spearheading in literal manner that comment. Okay. Okay. One opportunity you see as an HR, one opportunity. Let's Shahrukh go first on this. Shahrukh, one opportunity you see as an HR.
see, we have been talking about a few of the things which came in the trends also in opportunities, but I would like to pick a different angle here. We've been talking about the social connect, the colleagues or the employees' safety, security, or the or organization as a social enterprise. This would also be a very important and significant time to brand your organization taking forward. So when what I mean by branding the organization, it's the HR part of the branding, which is through people practices, right? What did we do, how did we take care of the organization in these times? A number of examples Faiza gave, Akil gave, are exactly what we are doing. It is very important for us as an HR people that we also take it forward for talent acquisition going forward, to retaining the talent. We really need to go out and then few months later start doing a communication which clearly chalks out that how was our organization, what did we do to ensure that the colleagues or our employees were safe, their well-being, and continuing to do that. And that will then create that brand part which I'm talking about, that this organization cares for people. Because when you are working from distance, we are implementing that hybrid model, work from home, remote working, etc. We really need the engagement part to be higher than how it was. So and if I talk more on the Pakistan perspective, working there for over 10 years, it is important that our employees emotionally connect with the organization. And this is easy in Pakistan, and it can be done because we are not a welfare state. So when we as an organization take care of people, the connect, the bond, the engagement becomes stronger. And this is something which I would say is organization would rely on going forward to attract the talent, retain the talent, and talk about the branding part from the HR's platform.
True.
Thanks.
True. Just क्योंकि आपने पाकिस्तान की बात की, and the one opportunity I see for the HR personnel is to right now is the time to understand your people, their challenges, and then your business and your challenges. Can you imagine? I went, so I meet a lot of people because that's my job, that's my business. So there was this company who just called us up for consultancy, and we went over there and we asked them, okay, what does this particular department do? It was a production company. So ये department क्या करता है? इस department में होता क्या है? वो ये नहीं पता हमें. मतलब वो they have their own lobby and they play around stuff. That was an HR talking to us, and I think so. But once you are saying that the bureaucracy has to go and people have to, the HR has to be more of a change agent rather than pushing the paper and procedure. I think so. This is the time that they should gear up, and that's the theme of this entire series. Okay. Now I have few questions from the audience, and we can play a rapid fire round as well. So this gets interesting and more interesting, I don't know. What do you people think of that?
Absolutely.
Okay. So the
We don't
rapid
have
fire
any
round
choice to
is,
say yes.
next time, मुझे लगता है next time if I ask शाहरुख खान, he will first say कि यार इस तरह की कोई round नहीं होने चाहिए. Okay. Okay, so
Go ahead.
because we have a lot of questions, so the rapid fire round is that you would be having 30 seconds, 30 seconds to answer a question, right? 30 seconds to answer questions. That's a rapid fire thingy, and I would be pointing it out at which person is going first. So for in this instance, Faiza is going first. Faiza, are you ready for this?
Absolutely.
Perfecto. Okay, let's see. The first question of the rapid fire round is by Ariba Ali. And she is saying, can we pinpoint on a couple of processes that might have become redundant? Would like to know more about innovative processes we can introduce as a replacement. Faiza, your time starts now.
Okay, so I mean, I think we've covered quite a bit of this already. But if we talk about, we've talked about performance appraisals, we've talked about focusing more on results than on face time. I feel one major process that will get redundant now is your biometric attendance. I mean, as we realize that KPIs are so much more important. And if employees are achieving those, it really does not matter where they are and when they log in and deliver. So the face value of employees coming into office will no longer be relevant. We talked about classroom learning already, and the processes as in e-learning will substitute for that. I think, again, there are a lot of engagement initiatives that have gone online now. There are a lot of recognition initiatives that are, in the form of online badges, etc., that are being offered. So yes, though some have become redundant, but I think technology has kicked in, and a lot more innovative solutions have also cropped up.
Perfecto, and you are right on time. I'm so happy for this. Ariba, I hope, and if you have missed this discussion, you can go on YouTube and see this. But यहाँ फिर कल I would आज रात में I would be sharing this link as well on Learning Minds, and I would be tagging all of them so you can see that as well. By the way, yesterday I was having this. So I was being interviewed. I was on that side of the table, and Umer Jaliawala was the moderator. And while we were talking about stuff, we got to know the virtual part, that there are many universities who are graduating their students virtually. There are many companies who are doing virtual internships. एंड एक दो लोगों ने, क्योंकि मास ऑडियंस के लिए होता है, तो एक दो लोगों ने कहा कि हमारे कजन गॉट निकाफाइड ऑन जूम, व्हिच वाज फनी बाय द वे फॉर देम. So everything is going virtual. Yes, Akil, they got nicafied on Zoom. So Akil has giving me that looks, that Arif, what is this? But this is true. This is true. Okay, so now next question, and I would like Shahrukh to go on this. Shahrukh, are you ready for the rapid fire round?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Perfecto. And this is there you go. Fahad Khan is asking, motivating people has become greater challenge as companies are in cost-cutting mode in post-COVID world. How do you keep people motivated who have received a recent pay cut due to this situation? And your time starts now.
Good question, and I think this is one of the challenge we are facing across in different parts of the world. I think if we go back to the basics, that would be playing an important role here. What I mean here is, if we have got a pay cut, but if we are communicating the right things, for example, and helping them. Communicating means how long it is, and helping means things like helping them planning things accordingly. To keep them motivated, they need to understand the overall situation. Plus, once we support them, help them, to understand how can they overcome this. So there could be a number of things which we did in our organization, because we also went through these salary cuts. The importance of communication comes in, as Akhil said, over communicate. So we talk to them, we tell them how long it is. Then they also see a comparison versus what is happening in the market, which helps them to understand that we have not lost the job. The company first of all announced that there will be zero job cuts. So when they compare it, that there is no job cut, we can survive, we can float, we can continue for an X period of time, and then the company is there. Then there are a number of things which they are worried about, are also things that, okay, is it only a job cut or any perks are reduced, any medical and other policies. So go back and re-communicate to them, refresh it to them, and tell them, guys, just hang in there. This is a crisis time which we have not seen together, and we'll get it through. It will be very important for these employees to being talking to the line manager, and keeping them engaged in this time. Also allow some flexibility. Flexibility in terms of taking care of their family, kids, and all those things. If we have reduced salaries, we have also given a lot of flexibility, for example, in terms of time. Despite working from home, and we have given a number of people off days and all those things to ensure that they get these things. We have also given option to colleagues or our employees to and giving them NOCs that they can also work part-time if they can, to cover that gap of salary cuts, because those basic necessities are always prime. So I think there could be a number of things which can be done depending on the country policies and the organization policies. But again, it's a situation which has never arisen. So we have to give solutions which were never given before.
Wow. So communication, engagement, flexibility, NOC. These are the 4 pointers which I was able to extract from your communication. So I hope, Fahad, though we did not follow the rapid fire round and their rules, but right now no one is following rules. This is the pandemic, and we are here together. So
Was it more than 30 seconds?
Yeah, but that's okay. I think so. The content you just gave us, and the mindset you just shared with us, I think so that was worth sharing. So yeah, we can bend the rules. It's our rules, right? मतलब rapid fire हमने इजाद किया था ना, तो we can do whatever we want.
And that's what we are talking
Okay.
about, challenging the policies and SOPs.
Yeah. Killing bureaucracy. Yeah.
Killing it, yeah.
So, okay. So, Akhil, it's your time to be on the rapid fire round, and your question is with a very, very, very good friend of mine and someone I look up to, and she is Meena Wali Mohammed. Akhil, your question is that Meena is asking, when do you think organizations would recall 100% of their employees back to work? Will it happen?
Okay, so it will vary from country to country and from organization to organization, depending on the nature of business that you are into. What I can say is that it's not going to be 100% recovery anytime soon, right? I've seen a lot of companies either on a 50% rota, some are on a 30% rota, and that probably will continue. The good news is that people who are in office-based jobs or they are in support functions, they have done well during this pandemic period, and work from home has not really impacted them a lot. But for people in sales or in other customer-facing jobs, obviously their job will be different, and their recovery plan would be different depending on what nature is. And so being in a healthcare company, I can tell you that our medical reps cannot go to the hospital if the hospitals are not allowing them to enter. If the doctors are not willing to meet with those medical reps, there's no point in them going. So they are still at home. And then this is from the customer side. Now let's look at it from an employee perspective. So are our people comfortable in going back to work? Are the business leaders comfortable in sending those people back to work, right? And are we as HR okay to allow them to go back to work. So there are different factors that you need to take into consideration. And before you have a good answer for all of them, I don't think you are ready to have 100% recovery when it comes to people.
Yeah, yeah, true that, true that. In yesterday's episode, there was this panelist, Nida Nasser from KFC. And while we were talking about this pandemic and the role of HR and the culture, she told me कि यार आरिफ normally हम ये सुनते थे कि हमारी कंपनी हम as a nation, Pakistan, we have gone back 10 years. Yeah, because of this, we have gone back 15 years. Well, the pandemic is first of its nature that हम कह रहे हैं कि we have gone forward. We have fast forwarded to future 10, 15 years
Right.
because no one could imagine that their entire in workforce can work from home and can deliver results at the same time.
Right.
So thank you, and drum roll. With that, our rapid fire round comes to an end, and all three of you, have done a pretty good job. I'm really happy. I'm really happy. One pointer भी हमारा बहुत अच्छा हो गया था. Though Shahrukh did not follow the rules, but either way, I think so it went really well. Okay, so people are loving this discussion. Gulzareen, thank you so much for acknowledging it. These three panelists, they have shared their time and knowledge. I cannot tell you how thankful I am to all of these three panelists for sharing out and
My
sharing
pleasure,
out their
Arif.
time and sharing for that.
Always welcome.
You are, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Faiza. Thank you, Akil. Thank you, Shahrukh. Okay, but we are not done yet. We still have 5 minutes remaining in our panel discussion. And who wants to, again, now one pointer is gone. We are done with it. We are done with the, क्या कहते हैं, the question answer part, जो 30-second वाला था. Now we come on to this question, and who wants to take a dip at this? Gulzareen is asking, can we talk about what kind of shift are we foreseeing in total rewards management?
Right. Can I take that, Arif?
Please. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I know of a few companies in the world who are looking at total rewards management in a completely different way, and it starts from the job description. So traditionally, we were working on these job descriptions, and we would try to hire people and fit in to those job descriptions. Now that concept is changing, and there's a new concept that's coming in, which is not really a new concept, but I think it's more relevant in these times, and it's called job crafting, which basically means that you are creating jobs which are more personalized in nature. So you will be looking at the strengths of people, and based on that, you will be coming up with those job profiles. And that will make people comfortable, because right now, and then in our current setup, we are evaluating jobs based on that job description, but people may not really be good to do justice to that job description, because I may have different strengths versus someone else who may have a different strength altogether. So I think that concept is going to change, and we'll have to show that flexibility in our policies, where we try and accommodate people and make them more comfortable in operating in different jobs. Now, even if you look at our policies, you'll see that they're very controlling type of policies. And we don't want people to deviate from those policies. And maybe that concept should also change, because now we'll be making policies that suit to the broader organization, and there'll always be those exceptions who are trying to deviate or trying to be difficult in those policies, and you can manage them separately. But by and large, your policies, your total rewards should be made to accommodate bulk of your trustworthy and performing organization people.
So I hope, Gulzareen, thank you, Akil, for this, and I hope, Gulzareen, that Akil has answered your question. And the last thank you, Meena Ali Mohammed is thanking you all. Okay, so before we end our today's panel discussion, the last question I would like to ask all three of you, and I would request if Faiza can go first on this. Any best practice you can share, and keep it to one or two if you can. Any best practice you can share that companies have undertaken in these challenging times. Any best practice from your end, Faiza?
So, Arif, I'll talk from K Electric's platform. So, our field force, and hats off to them, a big thank you to them, really. They've been on ground from day one. And, incentivizing is one thing, but apart from that, we've got a 24-hour medical team that's monitoring them in-house. So we've set up these telehealth phone lines, apart from their physical presence, and it's instant care for anybody that's outside and exposed. We have a task force. Free food and canteen operations are set up all across all our locations. Of course, the regular temperature screening measures are in place, which I believe all corporates are doing. And then for the office-based staff, that's agile. We are running the well-being vitality programs. I think Akhil mentioned at one point about over-communication, and our Marcom has been working overtime to issue guidelines, precautionary measures across KE to ensure employee safety. And I think most importantly is the FaceTime the leaders are giving with webinars. They are connecting. Our leadership team, including our CEO, is connecting weekly. They're getting an audience base of over 1,000 employees each time. And then we have recognition models as well. We're sending out badges as pat on the back for the work well done. So I think all of these practices has sort of made you realize, that you really are working for an organization that's looking after its people.
Beautiful, wonderful. Thank you for sharing your best practices of K Electric, and I am one witness of that. And you are doing a pretty good job for your employees. God bless. And Adil has joined us. Hey, Adil. Adil is saying that good discussion. So yeah, perfect. Okay, now I would request Shahrukh. Shahrukh, if you can share any best practice that companies have undertaken in these challenging times.
Arif, I would share something from our organization. I'll just give you a background. Our organization is a bit different because we are into theme parks and entertainment, which means we are closed from last 2 months and probably will be closed for another 2 to 3 months. Means zero revenue, means no earnings. Despite this, we have not removed any of our workforce. We have not put them on leave without pay. We have put them on a kind of a minimum allowance, which helps them to survive. Considering we are in Dubai and 95% of our workforce is from outside UAE, which means they're expats. So apart from the leadership team, the level below till the front lines, we have also given them air tickets to go back home, because it's relatively easy to survive in that allowance back home, which could be India, Pakistan, Philippines, or the Arab part of the world, as it is less expensive. And they would be called back a couple of weeks before we start the business again, inshallah. So this is something which really helps them. Of course, communication and those things go along. But this is something which was really appreciated by our colleagues, saying that, with the expense levels of Dubai, it was impossible to survive in that. However, going back home is an amazing option with a minimum allowance. So I think this is something which is more relevant to this market and to our industry. But this is something which really helped the colleagues in our business.
Thank you, Shahrukh. And I must say the strategy that you have taken of no job cuts and how you are looking after people. Even you, me, Akhil, and Faiza know that how is that going to pay out us, the organization, and the true north in the long term. So God bless you
Right.
on the procedure and the strategy you have taken for your employees. Akhil, let's come to you. Any best practice you can share that companies have undertaken in these challenging times?
Right. I can talk about a couple of them, Arif. One is reverse mentoring. That's a process that a lot of companies have started following, where they are pairing younger people with the senior leadership and giving them the exposure, but at the same time giving the senior leadership the exposure of younger people and how they think. And that is not only helping engage these people in the organization and retain them, but also it's also giving us an idea of what consumers of that age are thinking in the market. So that's a very good concept that's working in many organizations. We are looking at employee assistance programs. We call them EAP programs. And that is basically including mental, emotional, psychological support that is being provided to people. So that is part of the well-being that we will see as a focus going forward. We're already seeing a lot of safer and more hygienic work practices that organizations are coming up with, especially those that are already planning to return back to the workplace. So that is interesting. The talent practices will also change. So how do you retain people? How do you manage your attrition? Now, there is one school of thought that thinks that there will be no attrition or there will be very less attrition. But if you ask me, the way I see this is that if at all there will be attrition, it will be your good people. And so you have to, because the competition will be hunting for these people. So you need to find a way to retain them and engage them and make them feel important in the organization. So these are things that come to mind on a high level.
Thank you. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. And with that, we are done with our third episode of Gear Up HR Way Forward. We discussed about trends, we discussed about challenges, and we discussed about opportunities, best practices of what HR can do. And I am sure that it was priceless for people who are attending it right now and people who will see this discussion while recording, as a recording. With that, I would like to thank all three of our panelists, Mr. Akhil Naqvi, Ms. Faiza Sapool, and Mr. Shahrukh Masood for sharing out your time and knowledge. And before we go, any closing remarks you would like to share with the audience?
Yeah, so I can go first. I think it's all about taking things as they come by. I think what future holds for us is not clear to any one of us. We are all in it together. We just have to be resilient. We have to show the right leadership skills. And I think we will pass this stage too.
Inshallah. Inshallah. Faiza,
yeah, just to add to what Akhil said, I agree. And something which is happening, and I have seen this in the last couple of months, is the constant change. Something which we foresee happening, and we take an action. In a week's time, we have to alter it. So as an HR professional, be ready for that. It's okay to change. The time is changing faster than us, so we have to be with it. So yeah, I think take it as it comes.
Definitely. Take it as it comes. Faiza. So I'd just like to say that, no matter how dark the outlook at times feels, we at this time should work together as one HR fraternity. Use this time as an opportunity to shine. There's so much potential that HR can tap into. So many innovative ideas that can help give a direction to the organization. So use this time well. Thank you. And Murtaza Ilyas is another great personality, and he is saying that word listing, especially best practices. So thank you, panelists, once again. Okay, so before we leave, I have two announcements to make. The first announcement is that tomorrow is our final episode of Gear Up. So first of all, thank you, the audience who have been continued to support us in this entire series, and I hope that we are able to provide the value you were looking for.
I would be one of the panelists tomorrow, so that would be a refreshing change for me from the moderator part. And so I would prefer that no more rapid fire rounds and no more one pointer for me, because that's not a that's not a very innovative place to play. Second announcement, and more of an announcement, this is what we call embracing the new norm and virtual group photo. So if I would ask the panelists to smile, please. Okay, give me a second. Give me a second. Smile, everyone. And perfecto. One more. Just and again. 1, 2, 3. Perfecto. So thank you once again, panelists. Thank you once again, audience. We are concluding our episode 3 of Gear Up, HR Way Forward. Until tomorrow at same time, and the topic is reskilling yourself, and we have another powerhouse of panelists waiting for us. So thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you, Arif, once again.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.